Hello, welcome to our professional interview series. My name is Marianne Barnett, and I'm the transition coordinator for the Wisconsin Educational Services Program for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Outreach. And today I have the honor of interviewing my friend, Johnna Bainter. I'll let her introduce herself the rest of the way and give you more about her background.
Hi, I am Johnna Bainter. I am a speech language pathologist, and I am from Peru, Illinois, and I currently live in the Rockford, Illinois area.
Okay, so the first question I have for you, Johnna, is who or what was your inspiration in becoming interested in your career?
Okay, so I have an aunt with special needs, and I grew up with that just in my life, going to the Special Olympics and things like that. So I always thought I wanted to be a special education teacher. And then it was seventh or eighth grade, we took one of those career aptitude tests, and it gave you a list of things to consider. And my number one was still special education, but speech pathology was listed under there. And I ended up observing a speech pathologist and fell in love with it. And I ran from there. My mom will claim that I knew I wanted to be an SLP much longer before that. My sister got speech services, and my mom said I would just be there and stare in awe. So
You don't remember that though?
I don't know.
So going to school to become a speech pathologist, how many years of schooling?
It is a
Does it take?
it's a master's degree. So your 4-year bachelor's and then 2-year master's program.
And prior to your degree, had you known any deaf or hard of hearing students, people?
I did not. I didn't. I fell into learning about sign language, and then I just kind of again ran with it. I had fallen in love with it and then started learning more about the deaf community, the deaf world. And so I didn't know anybody prior to that until college. I think I met the first deaf person I knew in college.
And I know you don't work only with deaf and hard of hearing students, you work with also hearing students, but how much of your time is working with deaf and hard of hearing students?
In my current position, it's I don't have any on my caseload that are deaf or hard of hearing. And that's kind of the nice thing about speech pathology, is that you can kind of pave your own way depending on your interests. So I had previously worked, like you said, at Wisconsin School for the Deaf. 100% of my caseload had a hearing loss. At a previous position I held, I worked with the deaf and hard of hearing program in a school, but then I also saw some preschoolers that were in the general education classroom. So it really depends on how you pave your course and where you want to go with it.
Okay. What is the most fun part of your job?
Currently, it's just I work with preschoolers and they're fun. You never know what they're going to say. It's kind of my husband jokes that I get to play games all day, and especially at the preschool level, they learn through play. And so, I mean, that is fun. We get to play with them to help them learn.
Do you have a best memory or a favorite story of something that's happened that's part of your work?
You know, I don't think there's one best thing that I can pick out. I think that the career is very rewarding, and there's just the baby steps are always so exciting. You're there for those big little moments. The first time a kid says their speech sound that they're working on, or the first time you see that light bulb, of they're getting what we're working on. So I think that's just the best part of it.
Very fun. Do you work with any adults who have a hearing loss?
I do not know.
Okay, and you said before that you do know sign language.
I do.
How or when did you learn that? And has it helped you in your career?
Absolutely has. I started learning sign language again, kind of just fell into it when I was in high school. It was offered as a class you could take, an elective, and my neighbor just so happened to be the teacher. And so I thought, well, that would be fun to, take a class with her. And I ended up just absolutely falling in love with it. I was the kid that would stay after school and ask questions and read her books and things like that. So then when I went to college, I did my undergraduate at Northern Illinois. I started taking their ASL courses and I just dove right into it. I met a lot of friends who are deaf. I joined Deaf Pride, is what the club was called at the time. And I took all 4 of the classes that they offer. I ended up being a teacher's assistant for the ASL classes. Through the friends that I met, I ended up being a part of Camp Lions. And so just all of those experiences built my ability to sign. So I started senior year and just of high school and just kept on going. And it's definitely helped me a lot because not only is sign language used with people who are deaf or hard of hearing, I've been able to use it with kids who have communication delays, children with autism. We use it in the classroom in the hallways, things like that with all of our children. They learn these simple signs that they can use to follow directions and things like that. And so it's been useful in a lot of ways.
Thank you so much. Um, so if we have an audience of young high school aspiring college students, what would you suggest to these young people who might be interested in the field that you are in?
I would definitely say to go observe. There's speech pathologists in schools, at hospitals, at skilled nursing facilities. There's so many things you can do with the career. And so observe, ask questions, and really just be curious.
How about any other words of wisdom or encouragement or inspiration? Something else you'd like to share with our audience?
I think for people, trying to decide what career path to go down, or even if you know that speech pathology is what you want, or regardless of whatever your career path is, ask questions and don't be afraid to try. If you make a mistake, own up to it, and that's how you learn. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned from is, doing, maybe it wasn't right, but then I ask questions and I move on. And it really helps you build as a professional and as a person.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your experience and your expertise.
Thank you for having me.